withholding nothing, withholding nothing. I give myself away. I give myself away so you can use me. I give myself away. I give myself away so you. I give myself away. I give myself. I give myself away so you. I give myself away. I surrender. I surrender all to you. Everything I give. Everything I give to you. Holding nothing. Holding nothing. Withholding nothing. Withholding nothing. Say I surrender. I surrender all to you. For everything I give. Everything I give to you. Withholding nothing. Withholding nothing. Withholding nothing. I give myself away. I give myself I give myself away so you can use me. I give myself away. Give myself away so you can use me. Lord, I surrender. I surrender all to you. I give you everything, Lord. Everything I give to you. Withholding nothing. Withholding nothing. Withholding nothing. Withholding nothing. Withholding nothing. Withholding nothing. I give you everything. Withholding nothing. All I want is you. Hello, Hannahs. Hello, how are you? Good evening. Good evening. How are you all? How are you? Yesterday we were talking about the spirit of Josiah. Yesterday we were talking about the spirit of Josiah. We were also talking about names, retrieving our names from any demonic altar, retrieving our names from any satanic altar. So today I'm going to talk about sacrifices. Today I'm going to talk about altar sacrifices. I once taught about tithe. I once taught about giving. I once taught about sowing a seed. Today I'm going to be talking about altar sacrifices. So we are going to be talking about going yonder. There's a place that is called here. Here is where I am right now. Here is every situation that I am in right now. But there is a place that is called Yonder. The place that is called Yonder is a place that has God's promises, is a place that has got the blessings of God. So we are going to talk about the here and we are going to talk about the yonder as we go to into our scriptures, and we look at people who were in the here, but they decided to go yonder, and they went yonder, and we want to see what God did for them in the yonder. We want to see what God did for them in the yonder. So we are going to read a few scriptures. We are going to read a few scriptures. But before we do that, I just want to explain what a sacrifice is. A sacrifice is the greatest test of faith. A sacrifice is the greatest test of faith. When God wanted to test Abraham's faith, and Abraham's love for him, he asked him to sacrifice his only son. Imagine the son that he had been waiting for so many years, the son that he had at an old age, the only son whom he had, who was supposed to be an heir after he passed on. God is asking him to give that very same person. What was God trying to do? God was trying to test his faith. God was trying to test his love for him. So a sacrifice is a test of faith, and a sacrifice is the greatest proof of love. A sacrifice is the greatest proof of love. When you love somebody, when you love something, you are ready to sacrifice for it. When you love something, you are ready to go into any depth of sacrifice to sacrifice for it. That's why the Bible says, for God so loved the world that he gave it his only begotten son. So it means the love of God for us, the love of God for the world could only be proved by giving us his only begotten son. So when you say you love God, you are going to show it by the sacrifices that you are going to make for him. When you love God, you are going to show it by the sacrifices that you are going to make. When you love God, when you want to prove your faith to God, you are going to prove your faith by the sacrifices that you are going to make. Because a sacrifice is saying, even if this is the best thing and the last thing that I have in my life, I'm willing to give it away to prove my love, to prove my faith. So sacrifice is a proof of faith, because when you give the best that you have, when you give maybe the last that you have, you are just saying, I am giving because I am expecting, because I have faith that God is going to give me more. I am giving because I know that God is going to give me more. So a sacrifice is a proof of faith. You have faith that God, the same God who gave you what you have right now, is also able to give you more. So a sacrifice is proof of faith. A sacrifice is proof of faith. A sacrifice is proof of love. So now I'm going to talk about different kinds of sacrifices that happened in the Bible. I'm going to talk about the different sacrifices that happened in the Bible. The first sacrifice that I'm going to look at is the sacrifice of Cain and Abel. I'm going to look at the sacrifice of Cain and Abel. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4. Let's go to Genesis chapter 4. Genesis chapter 4. Genesis chapter 4 verse 5 to 8. Genesis chapter 4 verse 5 to 8. But he did not, okay, let's start from verse 1. Now Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have acquired a man from the Lord. Then she bore again, this time his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to the Lord. Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock. And Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. The Bible just said Cain brought of the fruit of the ground. It doesn't specify whether Cain brought the best of the fruit of the ground It just says Cain brought the fruit of the ground. But when it comes to Abel's sacrifice, the Bible is saying Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. Of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. Meaning there was a difference between the sacrifice of Cain and the sacrifice of Abel. The sacrifice of Cain was just a sacrifice of the fruits of the ground. We don't know. Maybe even took of the poor of the fruits of the ground, because the Bible is not explaining to us what kind of the fruits of the ground Cain brought before the Lord. But from Abel brought of the firstborn of the fat of his flock. He brought the firstborn of the fatness of his flock. So there is a difference between these two sacrifices. Let's read on. Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat, and the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. The Lord respected the sacrifice of Abel, and he did not respect the sacrifice of Cain. The reason being, Abel brought the best that he had. Abel brought the best that he had among his flock. He brought the firstborn. We don't know. Kuti yanga iri firstborn ye mompere, yanga iri firstborn ye makwa yake here, yanga iri firstborn ye mpudzi dzake here. But jangozi Abel brought the firstborn of his flock, and he also brought the fat of his flock. Akaunza chekutanga chacho changa chakakora kudarika dzimwe dzese. But from Cain just brought the fruits of the ground. Maybe akatounza makabeji anga akashava, maybe akatounza tsunga yanga yakashava. And the Bible is now saying, and God respected the sacrifice of Abel. I want to tell you, God did not respect the sacrifice of Abel only because it was of the firstborn and only because it was fat. But kuna sacrifice inoti ikapiwa, is sacrifice inodona ropa. I don't know if you are getting me. Kuna sacrifice inowuya ichichema ropa. What do I mean when I say a sacrifice in odona ropa? I'm saying kune sacrifice yekuti muno aipa akasara akatsemuka moyo. Kuti hey, I am giving this thing, but I loved it so much. I am giving this thing, but it was the best that I have. I am giving this thing, but it was what I loved most among anything that I have in my life. So there is a sacrifice inodona ropa, but kune sacrifice yakashava, kune sacrifice inotuka mwari. So God respected the sacrifice of Abel because yaidona ropa, yaidona mafuta. Bakomana kune pangwe pekuti unonzi sacrifice ugonocha gatsunga yakashava mugarden mako kuti this is my sacrifice. Pane pangwe pekuti unonzi sacrifice ugonocha gakabeji rakuda kuora mugarden mako kuti this is my sacrifice. But the Bible is saying Abel akatora the firstborn of the animals that he had, and not only the firstborn but the fat ones of those animals. And so jwara kuti sacrifice ya Abel yaidona ropa, sacrifice ya Abel yaidona mafuta. I just want you to think right now. I just want you to think right now. If you have ever raised a sacrifice before God, uzibvunze kuti sacrifice yandakayendesa yaidona ropa here, yaidona mafuta here, zvekuti Jehovah vanga vari expected kuti vairespecte. Because kune pamwe patinoita ma sacrifice ekuti even Mwari kana vakaitarisa vanoseka zvavo votarisa kuside kuti what is this? But so today I'm looking for people who are like Abel. I'm looking for people who are saying, if I'm going to sacrifice, if I want to go yonder, I am going yonder with a sacrifice irukudona ropa. I am going yonder with a sacrifice irukudona mafuta. I don't know if you are listening to me. I don't know if you are listening to me. Janzi firstborn, it was the best. It was the best that Abel had. So I want to go yonder today. Those who are saying I want to go yonder today, as I am speaking right now, I know that as I am teaching you about sacrifices, God is going to put something in your heart. God is going to tell you something that you should give as a sacrifice. I want you to listen to the Holy Spirit very well. I want you to listen to the voice of God very well as I am teaching right now. Because the panel and I'm not here for people who are saying I want to remain here. I'm not here for people who are saying I want to remain in my poverty. I'm not here for people who are saying I want my diabetes. I'm diabetic. I'm not here for people who are saying I want my HIV. I'm positive. I'm not here for people who are saying I want my asthma. I'm asthmatic. I'm not here for people who are saying I'm not here for people who are saying I am here for people who are saying I'm sick and tired of the battles that I'm fighting, but today I want to go yonder. But I am not going to go yonder with cabbages. I'm not going yonder with mtsunga yakashava. I'm not going yonder with my tomatoes akuora. I'm not going yonder with my onions akunua. I want to go yonder, but I am going yonder with my firstborn. I'm going yonder with the fatness, with something that is dripping faith. Who wants to go yonder tonight? Who is saying, evangelist, I want to go yonder? Because you know, the reason why people complain, the reason why people say, my sacrifice are not never fundisa shande, it's because akapa, but sacrifice yake, rangariri cabbage, rangarakaora, it's because akapa, but sacrifice yake, rangariri domas, rangarakunua, but because sacrifice yake, yanga iritsunga, yanga yakashava, so you will not go yonder with a cabbage that is rotten. You will not go yonder with a tomato that is smelling. You will not go yonder with an onion that is already crying because it's decaying. You can only go yonder with the firstborn. You can only go yonder with the fat of the things that you have. So I'm looking for people today who are saying, I want to go yonder, but I want to go yonder like Abel. So I want you to listen. I want you to listen to this. After their sacrifices and after God accepted the sacrifice of Abel, Kain anonzwa godo mubvunzo wangu ndewe kuti Kaini kana anga asina kukoshesa sacrifice yake yakaendesa pamberi pamwari. Sei akauraya Abel nekuti sacrifice yake yanga yagamuchirwa. Because we have got people who are vanozoita godo, vakuitira godo munhu anenge apa a sacrifice that is fat, a sacrifice that is dripping of fat. Why? Because Kain though asina kupa the best that he had, kuuraya kwakaita Abel kunotiratidza kuti aiziva the reward that is there in a sacrifice that can be accepted by God. I don't know if you are understanding me. Dai Kain aisaziva the rewards of a good sacrifice. Dai Kain aisaziva the rewards of a sacrifice that is accepted by God. Angade asna kuraya Abel. He really knew that if God accepts somebody's sacrifice, munuyaya atosumuka, aitoziva kuti mukoma na uyo, just because sacrifice yake yagamuchirwa, atosimuka kungendege, atosimuka kutoenda enda arikundisiya. Saka, the reason why Cain killed Abel is because he knew the rewards of the sacrifice that Abel had offered. Aitoziva haana kuda kupa zvakanaka, haana kuda kupa sacrifice yanga ichagamuchirwa naMwari, but he knew the results, he knew the outcome of a good sacrifice. So here I want people who are not going to be like Cain. Wekuti kana sacrifice ya Abel yazo acceptwa, you are jealous. Kana sacrifice ya Abel yazo acceptwa, wakumuraya. Kana sacrifice ya Abel yazo acceptwa, wakumutarisa neziso rine godo. sacrifice yanga isina kukosha ingade isina guva Abel kana sacrifice inogamuchirwa naMwari yanga isina kukosha ingade isina guva Abel. But because yakakosha, because in rewards, Abel was killed. Kungourairwa chete kuti Mwari vabvumire sacrifice yako. Kune masuo akuzaruka, kune magedhe akuzaruka, kune mikana yakuzaruka. Ndakutokuuraira izvozvo. So that is the first sacrifice. That is the first sacrifice that I am going to talk about. Then we are also going to read Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15, verse 4 to 15. Verse 4 to 15. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, saying, this one shall not be your heir, meaning Ishmael, but one who will come from your own body shall be your heir. But one who will come from your own body shall be your heir. Then he brought him outside and said, look now towards heaven and count the stars if you are able to number them. And he said to him, so shall your descendants be. This is a prophecy. This is a prophecy and a promise from God upon Abraham's life. This is a prophecy and a promise from God upon Abraham's life. And he believed in the Lord, and he accounted it to him for righteousness. Abraham believed. So whenever you receive a prophecy, whenever you receive a prophecy, whenever you receive a declaration, whenever you receive a decree upon your life, you should believe it. You should believe it. Right, let's move on. Then he said to him, I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to inherit it. And he said, I want you to listen. I want you to listen to the question that Abraham had. And Abraham said, Lord God, how shall I know that I will inherit it? We have got people here who received many prophecies. We have got people here vakaitirwa maprophecies in their lives. Mubvunzo wavo right now ndewekuti Mwari, how do I know that this prophecy shall manifest? How do I know that whatever the man or the woman of God said shall come to pass? That is your question today. That is your question today. Abraham had the same question, because he said, Lord God, how shall I know that I will inherit it? How shall I know that this your promise and this your prophecy upon my life shall come to pass? We have got people who have this question right now, right here on this platform. But I want you to listen to God's response. I want you to listen to God's response. So he said to him, this is now God. This is now God speaking to Abraham. So he said to him, bring me a 3-year-old heifer. Inzwa minturo yacho. Abraham angobvunza kuti Mwari, how do I know that this is going to pass? How do I know? How do I know? Abraham arkuda a seal upon this prophecy. Abraham needs a seal upon the promise. Abraham needs a seal upon the promise. And this is what God is saying to him. If you want to seal this prophecy, if you want to seal this declaration, if you want this prophecy to manifest in your life, if you want this decree to manifest in your life, listen to what God is saying. Bring me a 3-year-old heifer, imompe, and a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. Then he brought all these things to him and cut them in two down the middle and placed each piece opposite the other. But he did not cut the birds in two. And when the vultures came down on the carcasses, Abraham drove them away. So Abraham asked God, how do I know that this prophecy shall come to pass? How do I know that this prophecy of a marriage, this prophecy of a wedding, this prophecy of a baby, this prophecy of a job, this prophecy of a business breakthrough shall come to pass? This is your question right now. And God is saying, God said to Abraham, bring me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old ram, a 3-year-old goat, a turtle dove, and a pigeon. And Abraham brought those things before the Lord. But I want you to listen again to this. After bringing these things and putting them on the altar, after bringing these things and slaughtering them and putting them on the altar, the Bible is saying there are some vouchers that came. There are some vouchers that came. The problem that is happening, the reason why some people think a sacrifice does not work, it's because when they placed their sacrifice on the altar, they fell into a deep sleep, and vouchers came, and vouchers ate their sacrifice, and vouchers swallowed their sacrifice. What are these vouchers? These vouchers are the very same people who have got altars that you are fighting against, who have got sacrifices that you are fighting against. So each and every time you put your sacrifice on the altar, they are also fighting. Your sacrifice should not get to its desired destination. Listen, I sent a testimony of one of my daughters here, almost in the evening, when she was saying, Evangelist, when I followed the prayers that you posted on the sacrifice group, a snake manifested, and it was asking me, what do you want to do with that money? Because the instruction that I gave them was, during this whole week, you are going to pray with your sacrifice, assigning it to fight the battle that you wanted to fight. So as she was holding a sacrifice and she was praying, a snake manifested and began to ask her what she wanted to do with the money. And the snake said, that sacrifice is not going to get where you want it to get. So kunema vouchers anouya achida kudya sacrifice yako isati yashika to the desired destination, to the desired place. So vazhinji, you sacrificed, but after sacrificing you fell into a deep sleep, and vouchers came and they ate your sacrifice. So if you are saying, I want to go yonder tonight, I want you to guard jealously your sacrifice. Even when you is upper altar, you should guard your sacrifice with prayer. You should guard your sacrifice with fire. You should guard your sacrifice with the blood of Jesus. Because if you are not going to do that, I guarantee you there are vouchers that are standing by. There are vouchers that are waiting so that they can swallow, so that they can eat your sacrifice. So the Bible is saying Abraham akagara akashinura achiti makungu akauya aimadzingira kure kana makungu auya aimadzingira kure. So those who want to go yonder with me, you are going to stay, you are going to be alert. You are going to be alert as you guard your sacrifice. When vouchers come, you are going to chase them away. When vouchers come, you are going to chase them away. Evangelist, I am ready. I'm going to guard my sacrifice jealously. I am going to guard my sacrifice jealously. Listen, munu arikukurwisa, munu ane sacrifice ya urukuda kurwisa na nayo. Akainte sao sacrifice yake ye mompe, akainte sao sacrifice yake ye mota, akainte sao sacrifice yake kana ye stand, kana ye imba kunganga kune altar yakasimudzwa which is fighting against you right now. So when you are raising an altar, he is also akatomira akatarisa. So when you are raising an altar, akutoziva kuti this is now an altar for an altar. This is a sacrifice for a sacrifice. So they are going to try and fight left, right, and center. They are going to try to fight left, right, and center so that your sacrifice does not work, so that your sacrifice is not accepted by God. Mirai ndikuudzei, vana vechiedza vanokundwa kungwara nevana verima. Do you know the reason why the issue of sacrifices, the issue of sowing a seed, the issue of even offering, the issue of tithe is being fought left, right, and center out there? It's because those people who are fighting it, they know the results of these things. They know the results of a sacrifice. Because namoya unayoi, varkuto imetena nema sacrifice. Namoya unayoi, vanoto yete sera mompe kunganga every year. Namoya unayo ivanoto yete sera mpudzi kunganga every year. Namoya unayo ivanoto yete sera huku kunganga every day. So when they are busy attacking you for tithing, when they are busy attacking you for giving sacrifices, when they are busy attacking you for sowing a seed, they are simply saying, you cannot counter attack my sacrifice. You cannot counter attack my seed to that witch doctor. You cannot counter attack my tithe to that witch doctor. Because vanhu vari kukurwisa vanobvisa zvegumi kunganga, vanhu vari kukurwisa vanobvisa masacrifice kunganga, vanhu vari kukurwisa vanobvisa maseeds kunganga, but yet they are busy out there attacking your prophets, attacking your pastors for preaching about sacrifice, for preaching about tithe, for preaching about seeds. Vakomana, they maiziva ma sacrifices anoitwa in the dark kingdom. They makamboverenga ma testimonies evanhu vanobva ku dark kingdom. You would understand what I am saying. Do you know kuti in the dark kingdom munhu anogona ku sacrifice mwana wake? In the dark kingdom munhu anogona ku sacrifice nhumbu ine mudzimai wake. In the dark kingdom somebody is ready to sacrifice all the cars that he has. In the dark kingdom somebody is ready to sacrifice the life of your own mother, the life of your own father, the life of your own husband. That is how deep they go in sacrificing in the dark kingdom. But here you are, every time a pastor preaches about a sacrifice, you attack them. Every time a pastor preaches about sowing a seed, you attack them. Every time a pastor preaches about tithing, you attack them. And even my Christians, actually, they are on the forefront attacking these things because they simply don't understand that the devil is at war. And the reason why they are encouraging them to attack sacrifices, to attack tithe, to attack seeds is because they want to be on the winning side. They want to remain on the winning side. So if you are going to sit back and relax and begin to support them and say, they are always preaching about prosperity. Yes, they are going to maintain your state, your situation. You are going to remain in that poverty. You are going to remain in that barrenness. You are going to remain in that sickness. I said I want people who are ready to go yonder with me tonight. I said I want people who are saying if they sacrificed to the witch doctor, if they pay their tithe to the witch doctor, if they sow their seeds to the witch doctor, here I am tonight. I am here with my counter sacrifice. I am here with my counter tithe. I am here with my counter seed. August is a bad month. August is a dark month. I told you yesterday, some of you are already on death altars. Some of you are already on accident altars. Some of you are in a coffin right now, which is on the altar. Irikunzi coffin irindera ninki, musiwa kati, ndo musiwa arikwenda. So if you are not listening to me here, if you are saying, Aiwa, ajiri nani, I should remain here, you are going to remain here. Me and others, we are going yonder. We are going yonder. We are going yonder. Next time you hear somebody saying, what sacrifice? Next time you hear somebody saying, what tithe? Next time you hear somebody saying, what seed? Muza kuti uri muroi. Iwewe ndiwe muroi wangu iwe. Because I was good to counter your sacrifice. Because I was good to counter your tithe. Zauna visa kukunganga zako. says, take me a heifer of 3 years, and a she-goat of 3 years, and a ram of 3 years, and a young pigeon, and a turtle dove. Vatopedza, that is his answer. That is God's answer to Abraham's question of yakuti Mari zvichaitika here zvamataura paupenyu hwangu. How many prophecies did you receive? Did you put a seal with a sacrifice on that prophecy? Did you put a seal of a sacrifice on that prophecy? Because Mari is simply teaching us that whenever you receive a prophecy and you are saying, I want this prophecy to manifest, I want this declaration to manifest, you should put a seal on the prophecy with a sacrifice. And sacrifice yacho, it's not just a mere sacrifice. It's sacrifice it's sacrifice. And I want you to listen to this. Sacrifice I've got 10,000 in my account, and when I say I want to sacrifice, I give 500. That is not a sacrifice, because sacrifice inofanirwa kukubvisa mu comfort zone. Sacrifice chinhu chekuti even 10 years to go, you will still be thinking about kuti vakomana gore riya ndakaendesa sacrifice, vakomana pane gore randakaendesa a sacrifice. Sacrifice hakusi kuti une 10 cars in the garage, and when they say give a sacrifice, you take the list of the cars that you have and say this is a sacrifice. That's not a sacrifice. When we are talking about sacrifice, you have got a fleet of 10 cars in your garage. When you want to sacrifice, you take the best, latest, expensive car that is there in your garage. That is now a sacrifice. Now we are talking of a sacrifice, because inofanirwa kusara ichikudzimba, inofanirwa kusara ichikurwadza. I don't want to go into examples, but I can tell you, at one time I gave a sacrifice. I had 2 cars. I had bought a Honda CRV, but I had a Starlet initially. Then I bought a Honda CRV. When I thought of giving a sacrifice, I took my Honda CRV and I gave it away. That Starlet was old. Those who know me, owners, they can testify. Starlet yekuti ndainyara tichisvika pavenue, unosvika wakasirwa parking kuti sirai evangelist parking, uri kuenda kugweru, uri kuenda kublawayo, uri kuenda kumasvingo, sirai evangelist parking, unosvika kuti uri kekera neka Starlet kako. Why? Because ndangandaendesa a sacrifice. I sacrifice yaidona ropa. I sacrifice yakanti rwadza. I sacrifice yekuti ndakagara muka Starlet ndaifunga kuti vakomana, but dai ndakagara comfortably izvezvi ndiri mu Honda CRV. I'm trying to let you see what a true sacrifice is. It's giving the best, expensive and most loved thing that you have. Jesu vakagara mutemberi, vakanosvika vakagara pa offering basket, vakatarisa vanhu vachiuya vachidonedza. This is an offering I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a sacrifice. Jesu vakanosvika vakagara pa offering basket, vakatarisa vanhu vachiuya vachidonedza ma sacrifices avo. Pakauya a poor widow akasvikodonedza coin in the offering basket. What did Jesus say to his disciples? Jesus said, this widow has given more than anybody. A drop of something in this offering basket. Why? Because under the best and the last that she had. This was to Jesus Christ. All the others were giving an offering, but this widow gave a sacrifice. This widow gave a sacrifice. The rest, they were giving offerings, but this widow gave a sacrifice because she gave the best and the last that she had. So when we are talking about a sacrifice, we are talking about the best that you have. I know if people begin to write in comments what your sacrifice is. Kune munhu anenge aine 10,000 mu account make, but because pane munhu anyora kuti 500 RTGS is my sacrifice, anouyawo pazasi onyora kuti 500, anouyawo pazasi onyora kuti 1,000, kwaari 1,000 iri nani nekuti yakawanda kudarika 500, but it's not a sacrifice. It is not a sacrifice, because listen, God is the one who receives these sacrifices. God knows where your sacrifice is coming from. So for God to accept your sacrifice, it should really be a sacrifice. For God to accept and to respect your sacrifice, it should be a real sacrifice. And anoziva kuti is sacrifice ndiwe na Mwari. Okay, so that is what God said. That is what God said to Abraham. Let's read on. 15 verse 4 to 15. Verse 4 to 15. So he said, now when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham, and behold, horror and great darkness fell upon him. When you have wise sacrifice yakopa altar, don't sleep. Don't sleep. Then God said to Abraham, know certainly that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and will serve them, and they will afflict them 400 years. And also the nation whom they serve I will judge. Afterwards they shall come out with great possessions. This is also a prophecy. This is also a prophecy, not for Abraham, but for the generations that were to come. And this prophecy and this declaration for generations to come is coming. It has been triggered by the sacrifice that Abraham has given. So I want you to listen to this. When you are giving your sacrifice, right now, you are not doing it only for yourself. You are not doing it only for your generation, but you are also doing it for the generations to come. You are doing it for the generations to come. Waitira vazukuru vako, waitira vazukuru vevazukuru. So God is now saying, your 400 and will serve them, and they will afflict them 400 years, and also the nation whom they serve I will judge. God is going to judge the nation whom Abraham's children are going to serve. Why? Because of the sacrifice. Do you want God to judge the people who are going to afflict your grandchildren, the people who are going to afflict the generations that are to come after you? You should come before God with a sacrifice. You should come before God with a sacrifice. I will judge. Afterwards they shall come out with great possessions. They shall come out with great possessions. Why? Because Abraham wanted a sacrifice. Because Abraham, you have sacrificed to me. Now as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at a good old age. Are you listening to what God is saying to Abraham? Because of this sacrifice, you shall go and join your ancestors, but at an old age. Premature death. Our families, people are dying one after the other. Some at 35, some at 40, some at 50. Premature death. But God is saying to Abraham, because you have given me a sacrifice, you are going to die at an old age. You are going to die at an old. I'm talking to people who are saying, I want to go yonder today. I'm just talking to people who are saying, I want to go yonder. If you don't want to go yonder, please, this is not for you. I'm just talking to people who are saying, I want to go yonder. You shall die at old age. So you know, but in your family, people are all dying at 35. They are all dying at 40. Do you want to stop that? Do you want to be a case breaker? Now you know. You know how you are going to be the case breaker. You know how you are going to be the case breaker. So he's going to die at old age. He's going to die at old age. Then God goes on to say, on the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, to your descendants I have given this land. Imagine, these descendants are not yet there. These descendants are not yet there. Abraham is still barren. Abraham. But God is already saying, to your descendants I have given this land. Vari muchiuno cha Abraham vanga vatone land. Vari muchiuno cha Abraham vanga vatoma landlords. Why? Because sekuru vabvisa sacrifice. Sekuru vabvisa sacrifice. Saka vana vanozosara vozvarwa vatoma landlord. Vanozosara vozvarwa vatone land, vatone mita yavo, vatone dzimba dzavo. Am I talking to somebody tonight? Am I talking to somebody tonight? To your descendants I have given this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates. Mapeg aiswa. Paul kuisa sacrifice yako pa altar. Mapeg emastenze vana vako nevazukuru vako anenge achiswa. Mwari vanenge vakutopega kuti this land belongs to Maria Chisadza grandchildren. This land belongs to Tim Torres grandchildren. This land belongs to Melissa Mel's grandchildren. Which means vari muchiuno mwari vanga vatotanga kupega. My God, audi wahere vazukuru vanozosara vozvarwa vatoma landlords. Audi wahere vana vanozosara vozvarwa vama landlords. Listen to this. The Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Kadomites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, and the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, and the Gigashites, and the Jebusites. Vanhu vese vabviswa palendi rikunzi indoya lendi yevana vako. Vanhu vese vari kusano kubviswa. Though ivo vasiri kuzviziva kuti vatobviswa, but Abraham atoita a covenant naMwari yekuti sanoi kugara zvenyu, but kana vazukuru vangu vauya muchapatama, sanoi kurima zvenyu, kana vazukuru vangu vauya muri kupabvapa. Audere kufamba in that knowledge, in that faith yakuziva kuti vangu vana ndakavagadzirira kare vanogona kusanorima nekugara, but kana vangu vazouya, they are going to take over. They are going to take over. So that was God's reward for Abraham's sacrifice. That was God's reward for Abraham's sacrifice. We want to hear, because God is saying, your descendants are going to possess the gates of their enemies. God is saying your descendants are going to possess the gates of their enemies. God has also promised Abraham that your children are going to go into a land where they are going to be strangers, but they shall come out of that land with great possessions. And if you read in Exodus, uchanzwisisa kuti ma Israelites vachibuda mu Egypt vakabuda nei? Vakabuda ne God, vakabuda with so much riches, so much wealth. Why? Because pane covenant yaitwa papiwa sacrifice na Abraham. Okay. Let's read on. Let's read on. Now I want to read the story of Hannah. I want to read the story of Hannah. 1 Samuel chapter 1. 1 Samuel. Sacrifices. All these are sacrifices. We are going to read 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 1. 1 Samuel chapter 1. 1 Samuel chapter 1 verse 11. 1 Samuel chapter 1 verse 11. Verse 11. Then she made a vow. This is Hannah. Hannah is praying in the temple. Hannah is praying in the temple. Achiti, Mary, praying for a child. Praying for a child because Penina was provoking her. Penina was laughing at her. So she's praying in the temple. So she said, then she made a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your maidservant, and remember me, and not forget your maidservant, but will give your maidservant a male child, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and no razor shall come upon his head. Gore ne gore hana nemurume wake nemhuri yake vaienda kushilo kunonamata. It means pese pa vaienda kushilo hana aitopindawo mutemple achinamata achiudza Mwari kuti Mwari ndoda mwana. But hana akaona kuti gore ne gore I'm just praying but nothing is happening, nothing is changing about my situation. This is a battle. What should I do? Hannah goes a step further and she makes a vow with God. If you give me a child, I'm going to give him back to you. Which means even Samuel wacho asati apo Hannah ato sacrifice kudara. Hannah is sacrificing something that she doesn't even have. So I know some of you may be saying, Saka, I need to sacrifice a sheep because I don't have. I want you, the same blessing that you are praying that God bless me with this, I want you to say that same blessing that you are going to give to me, it is the same blessing that I'm going to give back to you as a sacrifice. Make a vow with God. Make a vow with God. The same blessing that you are going to bless me with is the same blessing that I'm going to give back to you. Right now I may not have anything to give you, but if you give me the child that I'm praying for, I am going to give that child back to you. I'm going to give that child back to you. So you are here. You are saying, I want to go yonder, but I don't have anything, evangelist. I have told you what to do. I have told you what to do. Now we want to see what happens. We want to read on. Let's read verse 19. Let's read verse 19. Then they rose early in the morning and worshipped before the Lord and returned and came to their house at Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife, and the Lord remembered her. So it came to pass in the process of time that Hannah conceived and bore a son and called his name Samuel, saying, because I have asked him from the Lord. So pane a sacrifice. Pane a sacrifice inodena moyo wa Mwari. Pane a sacrifice inoti ikapiwa Mwari vanozununguka. Pane a sacrifice inoti ikapiwa Mwari vanoresponda. Hana apa a sacrifice iri a vow. Isati yapo, but Mwari kana mantipa, I'm going to give it back to you. Because of that sacrifice, because of that vow, God remembered Hannah and opened her womb and she conceived. She conceived and she gave birth to Samuel. Let's read on. Let's read on. Verse 24. Verse 24 of the same chapter. Now, when she had weaned him, she took him up with her with 3 bulls. Listen to this. When she had weaned him, she took him up with him with 3 bulls, 1 ephah of flour, and a skin of wine, and brought him to the house of the Lord in Shiloh, and the child was young. So, azomusununguka, she takes the child as per her vow and she brings the child to God. She brings the child to God. Let's read 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 2. 1 Samuel chapter 2. Let's read 1 Samuel chapter 2. 1 Samuel chapter 2. Verse 19 to 20. Verse 19 to 20. Verse 19 to 20. Moreover, his mother, but Samuel ministered before the Lord even as a child, wearing a linen ephod. Moreover, his mother used to make him a little robe and bring it to him year by year when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. Hannah apa Samuel kuna Mwari. De anga ari mumwe munhu aiti Mwari ndakupai Samuel but kumfekedza chimfekedza yo, ndakupai Samuel but kumuchengeta chimuchengetai, but Hannah every year akuenda ku temple aienda nehembe dzekuti Samuel awane chekupfeka. Such a sacrifice, and imagine Samuel ndiye ega mwana wana matira for so many years, meaning paendesa Samuel ku temple Penina atosara achimprovoka futi. Nsanda mbona kupusa kwakadai, kuzvara mwana wakuzvarira kuendesa ku temple, kuzvara mwana wakuzvarira kuendesa ku church. After all the years uchitampura wazvara mwana waendesa ku temple. I think that is what Penina was now saying. This is what Penina is going to say to you. This is what your Penina is going to say to you. Makapusa my guru. Kuzvara mwana wa mana matira for so many years. Momuzvara momuendesa ku temple. Makapusireko kudai imi. Nepamuromo panga paina Penina. I suspect that this is what she was now saying. Let's read on. Let's read on. Verse 19 to 21. Verse 19 to 21. And Eli, moreover, his mother used to make him a little robe and bring it to him year by year when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. And Eli would bless Elkanah and his wife and say, the Lord give you descendants from this woman for the loan that was given to the Lord. Then they would go to their own home. Whatever. Did you listen to Eli's prayer? Did you listen to Eli's prayer upon this couple after they made a sacrifice each year? And the Lord visited Hannah so that, listen to this, so that she conceived and bore 3 sons and 2 daughters. So after giving birth to Samuel and giving him to God, God blessed Hannah and Elkanah with more children. So, kubatirira kwako kuna Samuel, kunogona kuvara, zvimwe 5 zvanga zvichauya mumashure. Kubatirira kwako kusacrifice yaunayo, kunogona kuvara, dzimwe 5 dzanga dzichauya. I may know if you are listening to me. I don't know if you are listening to me. We are just talking about sacrifices. We are just talking about sacrifices. Now we are going to our theme for today. Now we are going to our theme for tonight. Going yonder. Going yonder. Genesis chapter 22. Genesis chapter 22. Genesis chapter 22. Genesis chapter 22. Let's start from verse 1. Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, here I am. Then he said, take now your son, your only son, Isaac. So when God asks you to give a sacrifice, this is what I've been saying. He knows what you have. So if you are going to give something that is not a sacrifice, God knows. God knows what your sacrifice is. God knows what your sacrifice is. Whom you love. So I want you to listen. I want you to listen and get to understand what a sacrifice is. I want you to listen and get to understand what a sacrifice is. Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and Isaac his son, and he split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. Then on the third day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place afar off. And listen, and Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey. Stay here with the donkey. The lad and I will go yonder and worship. The lad and I will go yonder and worship, and will come back to you. So tonight I said we want to go yonder. Tonight I said I want women and men who are saying, I don't want to remain here, but I want to go yonder. I want you to understand what your year is. I want you to understand what your year is. Your year is now. Your here is where you are suffering. Your here is where you have got diabetes. Your here is where you have got BP. Your here is where you are HIV positive. Your here is where you are barren. Your here is where you are sinking in debt. Your here is where the spiritual husband is fighting you left, right, and center. Your here is where your household wicked enemies are tossing you around as they wish. Your here is now. Your here is the battles that you are fighting right now. Your here is the joblessness that you are experiencing right now. Your here is having the degree that you have and not having a job. This is your here. This is your here. But there is a place that is called Yonder. There is a place that is called Yonder. And what qualifies somebody to go yonder? What qualifies somebody to go yonder is his or her sacrifice. Because Abraham is saying, me and the lady, me and the boy, meaning me and my sacrifice, because Isaac was the sacrifice. So Abraham is saying, me and my sacrifice, we are going yonder. So tonight I want women and men who are saying, evangelist, me and my sacrifice, we want to go yonder. Me and my sacrifice, we want to go yonder. Do I have any women who are saying, me and my sacrifice, we want to go yonder? Do I have women who are saying, me and my sacrifice, we want to go yonder? If you are here, just type in comments, evangelist, I am here. Me and my sacrifice, we want to go yonder. Maybe you don't understand what is in the yonder. Maybe you don't understand what is in the yonder. I have explained what is in the yonder before. In the yonder, there is a promise for your descendants. There is a promise for generations to come. In the yonder, there is a promise of land for your descendants. In the yonder, there is a promise for your children being landlords. In the yonder, there is a promise for your children having their own farms. In the yonder, there is a promise for your children having their own businesses. In the yonder, there is a promise for greater things. There is a promise for your descendants possessing the gates of their enemies. There is a promise for your children that even if they can take them captives, they are going to come out of that captivity with great possession. That is the promises in the yonder. Those are the promises that are in the yonder. Do I have women here who are saying, I want to go yonder, I want to go yonder, I want to go yonder? If you are here and you are saying, evangelist, I want to go yonder, you can ask those who are in the sacrifice group. They can testify that there is fire on that platform right now. We are praying and we are scattering altars like never before. We are praying 24/7. When you are awake, chatter, we are praying. We are firing prayer points. We are paralyzing. We are scattering altars. So if you are saying, I want to go yonder, if you are here and you are saying, evangelist, I want to go yonder, I want you to go to my WhatsApp inbox right now. I've pinned my number. I've pinned my number on the caption of this live stream. Inbox me. I'm going to give you the instructions, and I'm going to add you to the sacrifice group. I just want women who are saying, I want to go yonder. I just want men who are saying, I want to go yonder, where there are good promises. Yonder, where there are good promises. Let us listen. Let us listen to what happens to Abraham in the yonder. Let us listen to what happens to Abraham when he goes yonder. Genesis chapter 22. Genesis chapter 22, verse 16. Verse 16. Okay, we're reading from verse 1. So Abraham took the wood, and he said, I am here, my son. Then Isaac asked, look, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, my son, God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering. So the two of them went together. Then they came to the place of which God had told him. And Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order. And he bound Isaac, his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord, yonder, there are angels. Yonder, there are angels that are going to talk to you. Yonder, there are angels that are going to speak to you. Listen, but the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. So in the yonder, there are angels that are going to minister to you. In the yonder, there are angels that are going to talk to you. And he said, here I am. And he said, do not lay your hand on the lad or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place, the Lord will provide. In the yonder, the Lord will provide. So I don't know what you have been praying for. I don't know the providence that you have been asking for from God. But in the yonder, there is God's providence. In the yonder, there is the providence of the Lord. So I'm speaking to women and men who are saying, I want to go yonder, where there is providence, where God is going to provide for me, where God is going to provide for my children, where God is going to provide for generations to come after me. That is in the yonder. In the yonder, there is God's provision. There is God's providence. So Jehovah Jireh is a name that you can call the Lord only if you have offered a sacrifice. I know many of you like to say Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Jireh. Abraham called his altar Jehovah Jireh because he had offered a sacrifice upon that altar. And God had provided for him. So Jehovah Jireh should not be said by anybody. But Jehovah Jireh, he can only be Jehovah Jireh to somebody who has a sacrifice on the altar. And it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time out of heaven and said, the angel of the Lord called to Abraham the second time from heaven and said, by myself I have sworn, says the Lord. My God, panema sacrifice ekuti mwari vanogona kupika nevamwe vanhu. Panema sacrifice ekuti mwari vanogona kupika nezvimwe zvinhu. But kune sacrifice yekuti ukaipa mwari vanopika nezita ravo. Mwari vanopika nehu I am wavo. Mwari vanopika nekuva Yahweh kwavo. sacrifice ya Abraham yakatrigger Mwari kuti vati ndinopika neni Abraham. Abraham, I swear by my name. I don't swear by the name of anybody, but I am swearing by my name. I want women who are saying, I want to go yonder. If God is going to swear, he is going to swear with his name. He is going to swear with I am. He is going to swear with I am Rapha. He is going to swear with Jehovah Nissi. He is going to swear with Jehovah Shalom. He is going to swear by his name. God has many names. And when he is saying, I swear by my name, it means he is swearing with all those names. So when he swears with all those names upon your life, I just want you to imagine the type of life. The type of life. It means when you are sick, he's going to say, I am Jehovah Jireh. I am Jehovah Rapha. I'm sorry. And he's going to avail himself in your life in the I am that he is. In each situation, he is going to come as the I am. So God is saying to Abraham, from today, I'm going to appear in your life, depending on the situation that you will be in. I don't know if anybody is listening to me. I don't know if anybody is listening to me. I swear by my, imagine, Mwari ne umari wavo, Mwari ne kuva Mwari, Mwari ne kuva Jehovah, Mwari ne kuva Yahweh, Mwari ne kuva the Lion of Judah, Mwari ne kuva the Prince of Peace, Mwari ne kuva Jesse, the Alpha and the Omega. Varikuti, ndinopika Abraham, nemazita angu ese, because of your sacrifice, ndapika nemazita angu ese. Ndapika nemazita angu ese Abraham nekuda kwe sacrifice yako. I swear by my name. You don't understand the intensity of this statement. You just don't understand what this statement means. I swear by my name. Vane mazita mankani mari. Vane mazita mankani aunoziva. Meaning in Abraham's life, he is going to be all that. He is going to be all that because of the sacrifice that is on the altar. Because of the sacrifice that is on the altar. So I swear by my name. I swear by my name. I swear by my name. Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time out of heaven and said, by myself I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this thing and you have not withheld your son, your only son. Blessing, I will bless you. Blessing, I will bless you. The blessing, aina ma boundary, aina ma limitations. It's just a blessing. Blessing, I will bless you in every area, in whatever way you can think of Abraham, I will bless you. So blessing, I will bless you. And multiplying, I will multiply your descendants. Multiplying, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven and as the sand which is on the seashore. And your descendants shall possess the gates of their enemies. Listen, the promise from this sacrifice is not only for Abraham, but it is a promise that is going even to his descendants. It's a blessing that is even going to Abraham's descendants. They shall possess the gates of their enemies. Sure. Imimi mashungurudzwa nevaroi. Mashungurudzwa nenganga dzichikusumudzira ima altars. And you also want your descendants kuti vashungurudzwe mushungurudziro wamuri kuitwa imimi. Your descendants shall possess the gates of their enemies. Your descendants shall possess the gates of their enemies. In your seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. In your seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his men with Isaac. So When you go yonder and you give a sacrifice in the yonder, you do not come back empty-handed. You come back with your Isaac, and you come back with a promise. Not only a promise for yourself, but a promise for your descendants. Do I have women who are saying, I want to go yonder? Do I have women who are saying, evangelist, I want to go yonder? I am sick and tired of being in the here. I want to go yonder. If you are here and you are saying, I want to go yonder, I want you to inbox me on the number that I've given on the caption of this live stream. God bless you. God bless you. I love you. Or I think I've explained and I have taught on sacrifices as the Holy Spirit was leading. I hope and I think all of you understood. You now have a better understanding on what a sacrifice is. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you. God bless you. Those who are saying, I want to go yonder, let's meet in my inbox. Let's meet on WhatsApp. Let's meet on WhatsApp. I love you. Take care. Those who want to go yonder, we are going. Those who are saying we want to go yonder, we are going. God bless you.